Welcome students, this is your 3.5 practice video on slope-intercept form. This is for your homework that is due on Thursday. Our slope-intercept form was y equals mx plus b. Alright, we first started by just counting slope. We always said you start at the left point and you count to the right. And you always rise first, which means you're going up or down, and you always run to the right, and you run second. So we're at the left point. To get to the right point, we have to rise in a downward motion, which means that's a negative rise. So we count the spaces 1, 2, 3, 4, down 4. Then we run to the right always 1, 2, 3. This is negative 4 over 3. This happens to be reduced. I told you guys if you're not sure if it's reduced, you just type it into the calculator and hit math 1, enter, and this puts it into a fraction for you, but this one is reduced. Alright, y equals mx plus b. M is the slope and b is the y-intercept. This one is not in the right form, so we have to do some transformation of it first to get it into the right form. It's a literal equation like we studied back about a month ago. We box the y, which is what we're solving for. We know we're solving for y because this says y equals. We minus the 7x over. Don't put it under the 0 because those are not like terms. Those cross out, and this becomes y equals 0 minus 7x. Not quite in mx plus b form because we need the mx part first. So this needs to be slid to the front, negative 7x, and this 0 needs to be slid to the back, so that's plus 0 on the back. And so I get y equals negative 7x plus 0. So I'll write y equals mx plus b underneath it there so that we can clearly see that here's our m, and here is our b. So our m for this one is negative 7. We like to do that as a fraction, so that's negative 7 over 1, which means down 7 to the right 1. Our y-intercept here is 0, which means that's a point of 0, 0. Okay, so that crosses at the origin, goes down 7 and to the right 1. And we'll get more into the graphing part of it in just a second. Alright, this one asks us to graph it. We first identify the slope and the y-intercept, so mx plus b, and you can see that this one is in the right form, so there's my slope, 1/3, which means up 1 to the right 3, and here's my y-intercept, negative 1, and that's 0, negative 1. I do not know my y-intercept yet. My x-intercept, I'm going to have to do some work to get that. Okay, we always begin with our b. So our b is our y-intercept, b begin. So I begin at negative 1, so that's down 1. Then we count out our slope. That's how we move. That's the m. We move up 1 over 1, 2, 3, and we put our second dot. And that's all we're required, but we could do more dots. Up 1 over 1, 2, 3, and then we draw our line. Okay. At that point, we can see our x-intercept is right there, and that's an x-intercept of over 3 up 0. Right, let's take a look at the last one. It says you commute to school by walking and riding the bus. So you do two things. You walk for a little while, and then you ride a bus. The graph represents your commute. Describe your commute in words. So our commute is made up of 3 distinct parts. You have part A, part B, and part C. And it says you start by walking. So describe your commute in words. I walk for, it looks like that goes by 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, for 10 minutes. And I know that because I can see that right there at that point, he stops walking. I walk for 10 minutes, then wait for 4 minutes to get on the bus. I'm going to stop there. So I know he's waiting at this point because his distance is not moving, so it's staying the same. See how he has flatlined here? So he has no rate at that point in time, so he's waiting on the bus. Okay. I ride the bus for 4 minutes to arrive at school. Okay, and so that is the description in words. I walk for 10 minutes. So he walks for 10 minutes. Then he sits and waits for 4 minutes. And then he rides the bus for 4 more minutes. And then he's at school. School is right here. So that tells you that the school is 2.5 miles from his house. Okay, so there's lots of good information on here. Part B says we're going to calculate and interpret the slopes of the different parts. So part A. So always count from the left dot to the right dot. So that's up 1, but that's not really 1. That's up 0.5. So that's 0.5 over 1, 2. So this way we got to use this scale. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that's 0.5 over 10. Okay. Okay, so I typed that into my calculator, 0.5 over 10, because that's an unfamiliar looking fraction, how it's kind of a decimal and a fraction together. And I get 0.05, and so that would be your speed. You're walking at 0.05 miles per minute. So that's a kind of a weird standard too, miles per minute. We're used to dealing with things in miles per hour. Okay? In section B, that's a flat line, so we have a slope of 0. So at this point we are not moving. Okay? And then the final segment starts here, goes up and over, so that's up. Every block is a half, so that's 1, that's a half, 1, 1.5, 2, so that's up 2, over 2, 4, so up 4. So this is 1/2 or 0.5, so 0.5 miles per minute. Again, that's going to sound weird because we're used to dealing in miles per hour, so 0.5 miles per minute is going to sound a little bit more confusing. It's not going to be a normal. That sounds like you're not going very fast at all, but you're probably going pretty fast at 0.5 miles per minute. I just did a little bit of work and I was able to figure out that this is actually 30 miles per hour because of the 60 minutes in an hour. Okay? Alright, so make sure you finish up these and any of the other ones. If you did not get a chance to do all of the calculator calculations in class on Tuesday, then as soon as you come into class, grab your calculator and start finishing those up.